I've got lots more questions, but I want to first give opportunity for some of you to ask questions you have. I'd be thinking about it. I'm going to guess another one of mine. Okay, first, Neil.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And for us, it's one of those things that customers aren't really asking for a great grilled chicken sandwich right now. They're asking for more fried stuff, and they're buying more fried stuff. So we're still investing in a new grill platform to help get ahead of that. So we do believe that nutrition will be a mandate, like it or not. In the near future, we'll have to have our calories posted on the menu board, and we'll have to help. We're doing things like around kids' meals. We're making fruit the same price as fries right now. We're actually pushing fruit harder than we are fries right now on kids' meals. So we're trying to take some steps, but that's just one example of where we are trying to think ahead where it's going and investing in R&D right now to be ready for that. Similar areas of investment in sustainability as well.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's very much about transparency. It's absolutely a huge priority for us. You'll see on all of our packaging, we have our calorie count on kind of front of the package now versus the back. We're expanding our packaging offerings, so we have a much more wide variety of package sizes and forms to give consumers more and more choices. You know, we're looking at different brand offerings that allow consumers to kind of address their certain health and wellness needs. So it's absolutely, for us, a big focus, and for us, it's about kind of that transparency and range of choice.
And another word for transparency is being authentic, right? So we're about putting customers first. Our brand is, Cox Communications is the only cable operator that's won the J.D. Power Award for video, voice, internet, phone, and B2B. And so we don't believe the government needs to, that net neutrality needs to be enacted as a law, because we are very public about our approach to our network. We spend billions on our network, and we're very open with how we manage it, and it's managed in a very fair way. We don't slow anybody down. We don't give anybody any kind of prioritization. It's a fair and open network.
You may have seen Eric Schmidt, our chairman, spending a lot of time in D.C. lately, under a lot of lights, talking to a lot of senators and such. It'll be really interesting to see where the net neutrality ends up. But another part of the government that you didn't mention, but I think is going to become more important as marketers, is as we collect all this data, what are we doing with it, and what do consumers know about the data that we're collecting? And just as a reference point, in Google, you can go to your ad preferences within your browser, and you can find out what cookies, what tagging we've applied to that browser, and how we're directing ads to you. And this was a huge deal about a year and a half ago, when everyone was saying, there was a lot of press, I should say, about that all these advertisers are collecting data and how horrible it was, and they're using all this data. So again, Google created this transparent way for you to see what was being collected and gave you the ability to opt out. And I can't share the exact number with you, but you all would be amazed at the number of people who don't care. And I say don't care because they haven't opted out. So even consumers who are showing concern about being tracked, about having data collected, about marketers targeting them with certain metrics, at least in our experience to date, when you give them the opportunity to opt out of that or clean up their own record, they choose not to do it. So it's a very interesting sort of conversation between what the government thinks we should do versus what the consumers say they want versus where their actions ultimately are. So I think that'll be an interesting part of the conversation long term.
What role will marketing research play in their businesses, and how will it need to change?
So I can tell you kind of from my perspective or our perspective at Coke is that market research, we do a lot of kind of post-program analysis. So if something, some sort of initiative happens, we measure it post-program, we learn from it and adapt accordingly. where we really see kind of the market research space evolving to, and kind of we're looking at how our marketing K&I organization supports marketing, is it's going to be much more real time. So that ability to measure your ROI in a very real time manner and adapt very quickly is something that we're kind of prepping for and building the capability around.
You know, for us, we're a very risk-averse company, Chick-fil-A is, so we like de-risking projects, so market research helps us do that. We'll need to make it faster. We're trying to use a stage gate process for our innovation to have quicker kind of checkpoints with customers and find new ways to talk to them sooner. Maybe not the heavy lifting of a big focus group, more quick hits if we can. But it's still important to have believable research to drive decisions and take the risk out of projects.
We put the brand team and the research team next to each other in the office so that, because they're a full partner, and so I mentioned the pre-testing of creative. It's really important that we figure out what's working and what isn't working in our advertising, what elements of the campaign are adding to the overall messaging and what elements are detracting, what we can do to fix it. So, it's quick turn. That's really important.
How are you guys approaching the social CRM? I mean, right now, if you have 3 million fans on your Facebook page, each one of those fans wants something different. I mean, and then you get into someone like Chick-fil-A, where you also have to accommodate for scale on the local level. How are you supporting those stores? So, what are you guys doing to kind of tackle those issues?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I think social CRM is kind of what I talked about earlier. It's like where we all want to go. And so just managing the channels is cumbersome enough. There's tools out there that work. There's some companies in town that have great tools that can help with that. We work with a lot of companies where, over time we train their people to be able to be the community managers and the actual people who are responding and fielding questions internally. If we don't do that, we have people within our agency that train on the brand and spend time with the brand so they really kind of get it. But as far as tying all those things together, there's some startups and some companies trying to do that, but I haven't seen anybody really do that from a technology perspective, and I think that's what has to happen to allow it first. Tying the major networks together and even tying into your exact targets and your silver pops and all the data we have, that's, to me, where things need to move, and it's just not quite there yet.
Global. The world's getting smaller. Julie, Kathy, your companies in particular are obviously global companies. What's different in marketing outside the U.S. versus inside in the context of what we're talking about here?
I can tell you in China, they're not really big fans of transparent results. That wasn't one of the greatest experiences. It's interesting. Google is very much the same structure, the same hierarchy, the same culturally. If you walked into an office in Switzerland or Japan or India or Atlanta, they all look the same. The company is very much focused on who we are and what we do, and then we move into the local market using some local experts. So very often we'll find that we have country managers or the people at the top levels of the organization who are leading the efforts there. But beyond that, and of course beyond doing language-specific results, there's very little that we change as we move from market to market to market. The consumer actually changes the product. So for example, if they don't do a lot of they do a lot more mobile, for example, in Latin America, and that's just a consumer base. So our mobile offering there gets more of our business, and what I mean by that is more investment goes to mobile, but it's not a different offering. The same product formats, the same ads, all of the same technologies are available to all those people. It's almost how the consumer chooses to consume them is different across the globe, not how we choose to offer it.
So, I think this builds on kind of the point that Jeff made around collaboration. The kind of the globalization effect is something that, I would say, it's not that different in other markets and what they're trying to do and their priorities and some of their consumer dynamics. And so we're really working hard to kind of collaborate as a global organization and have built a lot of routines and disciplines and sharing around that idea of collaboration instead of kind of creating it on your own in your own business unit, but looking across to other markets in the globe that we can source from and share from.
The question that I thought somebody would ask for sure, which is why I didn't ask it, but I'm going to now, is everybody talks about how hard it is to measure return on investment for social marketing activity. Is anybody doing it well, and if so, what do they do?
Jeff, you should answer that. Jeff should.
I have a lot of opinions on this subject. So it's still amazing to me the amount of money that is spent in TV. And by the way, I think TV is a huge part of our future in marketing. I think it's massive. Once it becomes connected and all the things kind of we've been talking about, I think TV is going to be great. It's still the best reach mechanism, but the amount of money spent and the inability to really measure that compared to social, which is sort of similar. It is hard to measure the impact, yet we all know it's important. I was at a debate of email versus social, and I was in a room of a bunch of email people, and email is like one of the best ROI marketing things you can do, not just digital, just period. And it was the debate, and I was the bad guy because I was at an email conference. And I asked the audience, I said, what would you rather have? One person tell their friend, I love this product, or 10 people click on your email? And they all said the one person. It got to 1,000 people opening their email before there was even some people raising their hand that they'd rather have the email. They all said, yes, one person telling their friend, I love this company, I love this product is more powerful. But you can't really measure that. And so, that ability to take a risk and try something and push, I mean, with Chick-fil-A, they're trying hard to measure it, but they also understand that this is an important part. There are advocates of their brand that are becoming their media. They're out there telling people. And so it is tough to measure. We try really hard. We've done it successfully a few times, helped Chick-fil-A give away, a million sandwiches, but it shouldn't come to that. Just because it's digital doesn't mean you have to measure every aspect of it. We're smart enough to know that it's more powerful than that. I'm off my soapbox now. Sorry about that.
Adam and I are meeting at 5 to try to figure that out. But we had a big Pacquiao fight this past weekend, and one of our markets, the Arizona market, had a watching party related to it, had a nice digital marketing campaign related to it, and they beat their goal by 54%, and the other markets did not. So we're trying to really try to tie business results to our social investment.
Good.
It really does seem to be both the blessing and the curse of digital that you can measure it so well. Because to your point, for years, people bought television and on a CPM, and those were the metrics, right? That it was good or bad because I got my TRPs or I got my GRPs, I got my CPM. But at the end of the day, did it really drive sales? Whereas digital, we can tell if someone clicked on it, we can tell where they went to the website, and we can tell if they convert, and all of a sudden we're held to these incredibly high standards. When to your point, I want to say, but that $250 million of television, really? Are you really sure that's selling for you? And it's hard because when you take then social into the digital space, all of a sudden there are all these new constraints applied to it, which you have to question if social had come before digital, if there would still be those expectations on the investment.
Yeah, that's a good point.